This is Ms. Zeinab Sobh. Thank you for coming tonight. Sorry we are running late. We had some unexpected developments. So what will happen is you'll have 15 minutes total to answer the questions. We'll go around the desk and ask the questions. If you have time remaining, then you can make a closing statement. Okay, very good. I'll ask you the first question. Why are you interested in serving on the Board of Trustees at this time? Do you have the time and commitment to serve on the P12 and the HFC boards?
I have a background in psychology, and I feel like there's a need in the community right now for individuals with that background, with individuals who have a background in depression.
Just a little louder, please.
Okay. With individuals who have a background in depression, with individuals who have a background in anxiety, with individuals who have a background in interventions for suicide, and so forth. I was working at a counseling center for individuals who were coming into college, first-year college, and they were going through an existential crisis, coming out of high school, going through college, and going through this existential crisis in which they couldn't quite figure out who they were, which part of their identity was themselves, and which part of their identity was an adaptation from their parents. And they were ultimately failing their first semesters of college. And I thought to myself, well, in the same way that we believe in preventative care and oral health and general health, why not take that approach in education? And why not start during the elementary adolescent years? And that's my perspective. That's why I feel like I want to serve on the board, because I have a perspective in identity development, a perspective in what it means for the school climate to help with the identity of a child, and how much that factors into academic success.
What specific skills and qualifications do you believe that you could bring to the Board of Trustees?
First and foremost, I'm a product of Dearborn Public Schools, a proud product of Dearborn Public Schools. I attended Dearborn Public Schools throughout my whole schooling. I am what I am because of my background in Dearborn Public Schools. Dearborn Public Schools gave me all the skills that I needed to be competitive. And I didn't quite get it until I was in higher education, where I felt that I could be competitive with other individuals because I have a background with Dearborn Public Schools, because Dearborn Public Schools gave me that education. And then I was able to be competitive when I was applying for jobs because of my background with Dearborn Public Schools, because of what Dearborn Public Schools gave me. My children are products of Dearborn Public Schools. I was the junior City Beautiful Commissioner when I was in 4th and 5th grade. My daughter was the City Beautiful Commissioner in 4th and 5th grade. I gave the commencement day speech in high school. My son gave the commencement day speech during middle school. I was on the National Honor Society. My son just got inducted into National Honor Society. I'm a product of Dearborn Public Schools, and what Dearborn Public Schools ultimately provides is that sort of relief that we're in good hands. I was in good hands, and my kids are in good hands. I'm also a product of my community. My parents did everything for me growing up so that I can reach academic success, but so did my neighbors, and so did my teachers, and so did my coaches. And although I may not be able to directly thank them, I can indirectly thank them by serving on the board and serving their children and their children's children. I also have a background in assessment, psychoeducational assessment. I complete a full battery for individuals that are having difficulty in school, and we try to figure out what are the strengths and weaknesses, what are the interventions needed so that they can achieve academic success.
Okay. How do you see the role and responsibilities of a member of the Board of Trustees?
So if I'm going to speak on the everyday roles and responsibilities, I understand that we maintain and balance a budget, and we hire personnel who are ultimately going to play important roles in the lives of our children. The way that I take responsibilities, roles and responsibilities is the ethical and moral component. The ethical and moral role and responsibility that comes with being a board member. Because ultimately, we are the pillars of strength, pillars of success for those individuals that are looking up to us for their education as well. I always tell individuals that if you don't like the perception that is being placed out there, create reference points so that they can look to those individuals for points of reference and positive points. So I think that's part of the responsibility, so that we can say, well, there's an individual on the school board or the school board itself that is doing positive things. So that's part of our role and responsibilities.
How do you envision becoming a productive, contributing member of the existing governance team? 6 current board trustees and the superintendent and college president.
When I hear productivity, I hear paying it forward. It's very easy to be a professional student and grading those degrees and just accumulating them, but it's really how you apply those degrees. And so when I hear being a productive member, like I said, ultimately Dearborn Public Schools gave me my degree. They gave me my degree in psychology, so in my way to be productive is to pay it forward and to provide what I know, my knowledge and my experience to Dearborn Public Schools. I was at my son's National Honor Society induction, and council president, Suzanne DeBaja, was talking to the students, and she was telling them, you need to pay it forward and pay it forward. And me being the lifelong student that I am, I'm listening to every word she's saying, and I thought, well, this is how I'm paying it forward. This is how I want to be productive, by serving my community, by serving on the School Board of Education.
Given that both Dearborn Public Schools and Henry Ford College share a common board of trustees, what unique challenges and/or opportunities do you believe are created by this relationship? Second part of the question, how do you see the two institutions collaborating on behalf of the students and the community?
With Henry Ford College, it's a way to continue nurturing the child, continue nurturing the student and seeing them through all the way to higher education. One of our visions of the Dearborn Public Schools is to inspire, to educate, and then celebrate. And to me, I interpret that as inspiring them at a young age, educating them throughout their schooling, and then celebrating their success when they reach that higher education. So the benefits that I see is that we're able to nurture that student all the way through to their college years, and be a source of support for them as they continue their higher education and then further on. Your second part of the
How do you
question.
see the two institutions collaborating on behalf of the students and the community?
We're the community and at the high school level and the college level, they're sharing resources. You're ultimately mentoring the college students or mentoring the high school students, allowing them to come into their labs, using their resources, allocating the funding for both institutions, and you're ultimately providing the community with a higher education that at a low cost and sometimes free. So Henry Ford Community College is one of the highlights of our community. I remember when I went to Henry Ford College, I would drop off my child at their early daycare, and then further on at their early childhood. And if it wasn't for that program, I wouldn't be able to continue my education. So I owe a lot to Henry Ford, and I think it's a pillar for our community.
You have 6 minutes remaining. If you'd like, you can give a closing statement or add anything else.
Okay. Education is a human system, and so therefore what drives it is humanistic conditions. I am completing my doctorate in the College of education, health, and human services. And I think so much we tend to focus on numbers and math interventions and science interventions, and then we tend to forget the other side of the component, and that's the emotional aspect. And what I have seen at the college level are individuals that have all the skills in the world. They have all the reading and the math skills that they need, but they're not able to apply it because their emotional development has not been attended to. And I think that's what the perspective that I want to contribute to the board. I know all the candidates are going to provide something that's going to benefit the children and benefit the board. What ultimately I can provide is a perspective that I think the community needs right now, and that is awareness on mental health and the effects of depression on academic achievement, and the way that we see how depression can be shown in problematic behavior and ultimately academic failure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your interest in applying for the board.